If you watch my last video, I mentioned about my ear infection and it's healed up now. It's actually quite strange after having an ear infection for the last 10 days to be able to put my hearing aid back in and hear when I talk. I sound very different to how I normally sound to myself. So I just want to check in again with you, and I do read your comments, and I just want you to understand that although I can't give personal advice, I am very empathetic towards the situation that you are in now. You think you can't heal, you'll never get through this, and you cannot have negativity, you cannot have self-pity. But I do want you to understand you need to be mindful of your screen time on your telephone. Now, mobile phone is causing you so much damage during this time. Even without the chaos of benzodiazepines, the mobile phone and in particular short form content are destroying your ability to exist in peace. All of this input that you're taking in constantly, scrolling through endless videos, is devastating to your healing process. If you are sitting there and all you're looking at is negativity, trying to work out the symptoms that are going on, you will cause yourself more chaos. It's quite strange, actually. I was an addict for 40 years. I have been addicted to pretty much every substance you could think of, and also many that you will not know. I do understand addiction. I am currently writing my autobiography, as I have mentioned to you. Then I have to do my final edit, and I will upload it to Amazon. It will be a long read. A large part of my story will be benzos. That was the thing that destroyed any sense of reality I had. I know what it's like to sit there and feel like your own body does not belong to yourself. I do know. I know you can lie there and you can feel like everything around you is not real, it's fake, distant, and it can be unbearable. I do get that. And that's why I want you to be mindful of your phone use, because that is causing more chaos within your mind. I do read your comments, and although I cannot give you personal advice, I do make these for you. I make them because I know what it is like to be alone. I know what it's like to feel like you cannot go on another moment, but you can. I made it through the other side of benzos. Not even only that, I was an addict, as I've mentioned to you, for 40 years, from the age of 9 years old till I was 49. So I do understand addiction very well. Now, my journey through benzos will be very different to yours. I could just buy them, and because I was in tolerance withdrawal, I had no clue, and I was just going to the pharmacy whenever I needed to buy the medications, and it wasn't long before I was on extremely high doses. I would like to ask you this, please, and it's not because I want you to see me on a large screen at all. I'm quite introverted, and making these videos is very strange. I do make them on my phone for you, and I do understand that you need a distraction from what's going on in your mind, but your mobile phone is causing you more chaos. I have my YouTube channel where I upload all of the same videos and extra content, and it's the same username, same channel name. It would be so much better if you could watch me on your TV. Try to stay away from short form content. All of this endless scrolling is destroying your ability to find peace, to find calm. Always looking for symptoms, explanations as to what you're going through. It will create more friction within your mind, and it will make your days that much more difficult. I've never actually been a fan of mobile phones. And despite living a life of addiction, my mobile phone is the one thing I have never had issues with. So I do understand how easy it is to get stuck, to get trapped in a cycle of repeating the negative behaviors. And that's what your mobile phone is. For me, it was drugs, it was substances, it was alcohol, it was anything to stay away from where I was in the present moment. My life was hell. I lived a phenomenal life once I left home at the age of 18 years old. I worked hard. I had basically everything that we class as having a great life. I had all of the material. I had endless amounts of money, but I was miserable. I do know what it's like to exist in a place of darkness. That is where I existed my whole life until I found a way through. And that's why I make these for you, because I know what it's like to feel alone. I know what it's like to feel lost. But you can make your way through this. You start to talk to yourself with a little bit of kindness. I'm not going to go into the psychology of the things I'm going to chat with you about now, but our mind has one job to do: to keep us safe from harm. And sadly, when you're coming off the benzodiazepines or your intolerance withdrawal, your anxiety levels and your nervous system are on constant high alert. The ability to understand that what you're experiencing now can at times be impossible to comprehend. I do get it. I truly do. I do understand. Mental health and physical health are my passion. They always have been. I went to the gym despite all of my issues from a young age. And for most of my life, I continue to do so, except for some very dark periods in my life where I basically detached from the world. I had no idea what was real at times. I'm heavily tattooed, as you can see. I have used tattoos from a young age to express the pain I felt. And my tattoos are a timeline of my life, including even this terrible tribal tattoo I got when I was very young. I got that tattoo to fit in with everybody, to try to be part of the world, but I was always detached from everyone around me. During benzos, when I did go into tolerance withdrawal and the meds stopped working and I was just raising my dose constantly, when I had to come off them, the depersonalization and the derealization, it was absolute at times. But I don't want to go into the specifics with you because that will cause more confusion and more anxiety within your mind. So as I always say to you, You concentrate on your breathing. Try to eat the foods that we know are good for us. Stay away from junk food. Try to limit your sugar intake. Eat lots of protein, and fats are good for you too. We've all been told a lie about how fats are bad for you. I actually eat a very high fat, high protein diet. I also eat ice cream every evening too. I'm a little bit different. I make my own protein ice cream because I like ice cream. There's no other reason for it. I do have my quirks. I live a life now that is very simple, very calm. I'm studying. I've got one more course to do. And I think the book that I'm currently writing, it's my autobiography. It should be finished within 8 to 12 weeks, possibly. But I am going to do a separate book that is a lot shorter, more factual, and can help you during this time. And it'll be a straightforward, easy to follow book for surviving benzodiazepines. And it's not to make money. It's not to get clients or customers. I have wrote my life story because I started to journal 2.5 years ago. I'd never ever journaled in my life. I thought journaling was a waste of time for somebody with a broken mind that I had. But I have to admit, I was wrong. Obviously, I was very wrong because I've ended up writing my life story. And that is a very beneficial thing that you can do. If your mind is in chaos and you're struggling to hold on to what is real and what is around you, write the things down that you know to be true. It can help. Even write down all of the negative thoughts that you're having, no matter how horrific they are. Setting your thoughts out and onto paper and then reading them and understanding they're not your reality, they are thoughts. It can help you to create that little bit of distance that you need. Try not to stay stuck into the same place. I did that. I did my taper the most difficult way possible. After I finished taking the medications, I was still in absolute hell. And it was only when I started to do the things I tell you that I started to see improvement. There's no timeline. We don't know when the healing will happen. At many times, you will not even notice. You will just make steady improvements. Your mind needs time to calibrate. Your nervous system needs to remain calm. We need to try to keep all of the constant stimulation out of our minds. Now, as I've mentioned just before, I do now live a life of calm. I also do live a life of virtual solitude. And that in itself is not very unusual. But I did work in nightclubs for 30 years. I existed in chaos. I existed in constant stimulation. And that is what caused my mental health issues, amongst other things. But when you're constantly being bombarded with information, with stimulation, it creates more chaos, more anxiety within your mind, and that will set off your central nervous system. It creates a vicious cycle that you cannot escape. I lived in that cycle my whole life.